Hey, good afternoon, folks. It is a very special breaking news edition of the Political Spotlight in the daytime. It is episode 123, and this very special breaking news edition of the Political Spotlight is episode 123, breaking news. Indiana State House to call the third vote on House Bill 1338. Of course, that is the incredibly unconstitutional, in my opinion, divisive state house bill that state representative from District 33, J.D. Prescott, has put forward. I received word today that they were calling for the third vote in the House. This will be the vote that the full House takes, the House of Representatives. And what will occur from here is after this vote, if this vote fails, it'll be dead. If this vote passes, it will then go on to the Senate. So, and then it will have to be voted on to go to committee. It will then go from committee, if it passes there, to the full Senate, and then to the governor.
Passage House Bill 1338.
House Bill 1338, a bill for an act to amend the Indiana Code concerning state.
Chair recognizes Representative Prescott to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House. House Bill 1338. First,
he's even got a tie bar on, but it's still crooked.
This came to forefront for me. So a couple of years ago, my local elected officials reached out, let me know about a problem that they were having with individuals showing up, disrupting public meetings. I encourage them to adopt a set of rules of decorum, kind of like what we have.
A couple years ago, did he say?
So,
yeah.
After that first meeting, after adopting their rules of decorum, chaos kind of broke out during that first meeting. They were having trouble enforcing them. Law enforcement wasn't quite sure how to handle it at the time.
Why is law enforcement not? If they're not, they shouldn't be in their jobs.
Consulting with Association of Counties, AIM.
They do. Oh my God, Yoko.
Kind of why we
This is Shane Lindenauer.
1338. Establish a basic set of rules of decorum. And
how nervous is he?
It applies only to local.
Look at his handshake.
It does not include school boards or charter schools. Reason for that is there's legislation here recently that just changed how those meetings affect school corporations. So
yeah, speaking to the mic.
That code that we addressed just last year. If a governing body allows attendees to speak at a topic in a meeting,
if I was Shane Lindenauer, I'd be mad.
I would be pissed.
For a period of time, the public testimony that is before or during the governing body's discussion or consideration of the topic, and before the governing body takes final action on the topic, they can address the amount of time allocated for attendees to speak. The governing body may adopt rules and reasonable rules of policies governing the conduct of a meeting, including any of the following reasonable restrictions on the time allotted to attendees to speak on the topic, to maintain order, and then also they have to adopt a policy for the presiding officer to enforce these rules of decorum. By the three strikes you're out approach. If somebody violates the rules of decorum, they get a verbal warning. If they continue to violate the rules of decorum, they get a second verbal warning. On the third offense, the presiding officer may ask the attendee to leave. If the attendee refuses to leave, at that point, the presiding officer can direct law enforcement to remove the attendee. Nothing in the section prohibits the law enforcement officers from immediately removing an individual if a criminal act is committed.
Nothing permits that now.
Removal of the attendee is necessary to maintain public order. On page 2, line 31, that code site that's referenced is actually our Indiana tort claim law, which is our version of qualified immunity, to make sure that public employees and law enforcement officers are protected under a qualified immunity statute.
For when they do shit that's wrong.
The section of the bill, it was originally drafted to just deal with public buildings, but we did open that up to all buildings or all property.
Just all everywhere.
The reason for the original intent.
You're trespassing everywhere.
We had these First
we put a sign out that says you can't come in.
Themselves, but they were really trespassing on private property. They were going past restricted access areas, behind locked doors, interrupting business inside of buildings. We did amend that during committee based on recommendation from actually
His mommy and
Representative
daddy.
Meltzer brought a court case to my attention that was Marion Young versus State of Indiana. So the reason for our changes in the trespass laws for this, there was a situation where in Vincennes there was there was property where the owner had asked law enforcement to send extra patrols because he was having problems with people trespassing in a restricted access area. It was actually a loading dock. Law enforcement removed somebody there.
How does this
with
have
trespass
anything to do with
charges.
elected
Was
officials?
actually convicted, but then on the appeal
On a
the
loading
defendant's
dock.
claim
Were they
was
doing
that the
stump
law
speeches
enforcement
there or
officer was not an
something?
agent of the
So we need to
property.
protect them from the public while they're
And
doing stump
that-
speeches at a
during the
loading
appellate
dock?
court decision, reading the opinion, they said that there are situations to where it would be in the best interest to have law enforcement remove them, but they're not the General Assembly. They could not change the law. So they essentially, in that opinion, all but ask us to change that law.
You're barely
So
the
we did
General
that
Assembly.
by, saying if someone knowingly or intentionally enters or refuses to leave an area of a property that is marked restricted, enters or refuses to leave an area of a property
right,
that's
Joe.
designated as employee or authorization personnel only, or enters or refuses to leave an area of a property that is locked or otherwise not accessible to public without permission or prior authorization, that they'd be subject to Class A misdemeanor for trespass. With that, that's the intent of the bill. Thank you.
First discussion on the bill. Representative Bartlett, speak on the bill. You're out the yield, he yields.
Hey, get ready to take any
Yeah.
banner off.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Representative Prescott, why is this bill necessary?
Yes, sir.
Thank
So,
you.
without this legislation, the only thing that our locals have to use to enforce their rules of decorum is opinions by our public access council.
Is the
Luke
state
Britt.
law.
So really what we're doing was we're codifying what Luke Britt has given in his opinions to enforce rules of decorum at local meetings.
Shouldn't taxpayers have that right to go to government meetings and question? And I don't think it'd be disruptive, but shouldn't they have that right?
Absolutely, taxpayers should have that right to show up at meetings, but they have to be so civilly. We need to, just like we're conducting business here today, right? We have rules of decorum, how we conduct business as a body, how we conduct business in our committee meetings as well. So yes, I want to make sure that everybody's First Amendment right is protected.
Bullshit.
And really what we have happening in Winchester, for example, where this, where the request came for this legislation, you have average everyday constituents that are being shut out from public meetings because a select few individuals interrupt, disrupt, and have to adjourn early or just get.
They've never adjourned
No one's
early.
adjourned early.
Where there's constituents that don't feel comfortable being at the meetings because of the way some of these individuals are
Well,
acting.
since
So
he's been in jail, they
what we're
haven't
trying to
showed
find
up,
here
so
is
it
when
obviously
person
wasn't the
A's First
issue.
Amendment rights start to violate person B's First Amendment rights. We want to make sure everybody's treated equally under the law and can show up, air their grievances to the public, but we just want to do so in an orderly, respectful fashion.
Okay, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. My fear is, an elected person gets asked uncomfortable questions,
Yes.
Yes.
and I think a lot of times questions are uncomfortable. But if you're an elected official, you should be able to handle that. And this bill kind of scares me from that perspective.
Yes,
I
sir.
see where you're going.
Thank
but-
you. Who is this guy?
Whoa,
I don't know.
thank you. Thank you.
Representative Bartlett. Further discussion, Representative.
I like
Find
him.
out.
You're out the yield, he yields.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Speaker,
Jesus.
ladies and gentlemen of the House. And I apologize, Representative Prescott. I hold you in high regard, and I had into the bill in more depth early. I would have gotten a hold of you ahead of time. But my concern is, having served as a mayor, I know at times we would have individuals that would show up and get a little rowdy, but not
Violent.
not radically so. But one of the concerns that I have was some of those I think that have been asked before. Again, I just want to make sure that people who come and may just have just a disagreement with whether it be a city council or
It's okay to get
county
angry.
council meeting or whatever, that it's not taking away any of their rights to come and and ask the questions and so forth that they normally would be able to do under normal circumstances.
Yeah, so this bill would not prohibit anybody from coming and asking questions. They could still do that.
Until they
The
upset an
local
elected
would
official who
be
says that they're being
responsible for
disruptive.
adopting their rules of decorum, and they would do so with their legal counsel. I want to make sure nobody's First Amendment rights are violated. We want to make sure that civil discussions being had. That's all we're doing here.
So, look at this as removing any freedoms that people have had, as long as they are basically acting with decency in the meetings.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Further discussion on the bill? Chair sees none. Would the author like to close? He waives it. Questions on final pass of the bill. When the machine is open, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no.
Sad.
All the members voted. Tally the roll. Roll call shows 78 ayes, 79 ayes, 17 noes. The bill has passed. Shall the title of the bill remain in the title of the act? Court shall inform the Senate of the passage of the bill. Senate sponsors: Senators Rotz and Alexander.
We are out, folks. We'll see you back here at 9 p.m. tonight, and we'll talk about what we got to do to fight this stupidity and all of these people and all of the stupid idiots and dumbheads that are involved here and what we've got to do.